By the way, before I start with David, Cap for Life, no, it's fine to buy in Cash App. It's actually great. You can actually move it to your cold storage wallet. It's really convenient buying it on Cash App, and they actually give you a fair price. Okay? So, no, it's a good thing to buy it on Cash App. It's really convenient. That's how I'm doing it now. So I buy it on Cash App, and then I just move it to my cold storage wallet. Okay? That's what I'm doing. So, in fact, just for experiment purposes, I ended up opening up another Cash App account just so I can keep buying Bitcoin on the side and send it to my cold storage, just so I don't ruin the experiment that we're doing. All right. How you doing, my man? How you feeling? Where are you at? A hotel room?
Yeah. I got my hotel for another hour and a half or so. So I was there very early this morning, left my stuff at the room, got some work done, got some interviews done, threw up a story, coming back. So then I'll head back once I have, everything in my car before I drive back from Orlando back home. So
are you guys talking to Greer today or tomorrow, or what's the deal?
Yeah, I don't think we're getting Greer. So maybe we're striking out on that. I know he spoke at owners' meetings 2 years ago. There was a big offseason of Tyreek Hill, Teron Armstead, all that. We didn't get him last year, even though there was a big move of Jalen Ramsey. So, obviously owners' meetings is always that right after that first wave of free agency. So you don't get him again until the draft. You just got him at the combine before all the moves in free agency occurred. So it's a good time to hear from him. So we're still kind of crossing our fingers that maybe we do get a media availability with him, but seeming unlikely at this point.
Yeah, he ain't going to tell you shit anyways.
Well, we did have a nice conversation. There's always at league meetings, there's always the Monday night reception, sort of in the middle of the two big days here. And, it's not like an on the record interview type setting conversation, but, nice to just chat a little bit. We saw him, Mike McDaniel, of course, who's always very gregarious. So, and always stealing the show, to shoot the shit with him is always fun. Brandon Shore was out there. I've seen Steve Ross in passing. So good to just kind of, see them around a little bit, see them around the meetings and all that.
Yeah. What did anything newsy out of it? Because the Tua holdout stuff, that's silly. He's not holding out. That's just ridiculous. That's just to write a story to write a story. The Wilkins stuff, I guess, kind of expected what he said. I don't know. What did you get out of it that was maybe newsy?
Yeah. I mean, McDaniel did say, we have him on record talking about offering Odell Beckham Jr. The Dolphins made an offer to him. So obviously we expected it after a visit and the interest that's being shown on both sides. So, we do have him on record saying that, and that from his understanding, Odell Beckham has other options, and that two sides are going to take their time, and that Mike McDaniel, of course, would love to coach him. So I think the fit would be there. Obviously, we talked about that on Friday. If Odell were to join, especially as a wide receiver 3 in this receiving core, with Tua throwing the ball, McDaniel's system, it would all really mesh well together. But still got to see that play out. And as
we reported, my brother, no deal imminent. Okay,
so, right. Yeah, you heard it first on the Big O show.
Yeah, it's just their deal's not. There's still some stuff to be worked out, and it's for him that he has to work it out, because he has to come to the grips of, I'm playing for a lot of incentives now. Instead. So it's just kind of changed. The dynamics have changed for him. Nobody's out there offering him a ton of money. So the other deals, it's just comparing the incentives, what's realistic. And then I would imagine state tax comes into play, and that's where his lawyer is doing the math for him, saying, okay, this is what you can realistically make out of this deal and this deal. And then I'm sure they go back to the negotiating table and try to squeeze him for a little bit more if they can, that kind of stuff.
And once you take all those things into consideration and do the math on that, the state income tax, everything else, it comes down to how bad do you want to be in Miami as opposed to the other locations. Maybe there's still some ground that needs to be made up even when you go through those equations. But then is this where you want to be? Do you want to be that third receiver in Mike McDaniel's offense with Tua throwing you the ball? And it being open often because you're with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They're going to attract a lot of attention. So you're going to get your opportunities as a wide receiver 3 here. And right now, sure, I think it's that he still got his money last year, or 1 year, $15 million. Then, yeah, so he's still sort of in that mindset. But you're in your 30s. You got to come to grips with it and understand you haven't been a Pro Bowler since 2016. Last 1,000-yard season was 2019. So, this is a new it's not that superstar Odell Beckham Jr. that everyone's going after. This is a different type of Odell Beckham at this point.
You hear anything on the Odell side?
Well, I feel the same way, is that the Dolphins won't be offering any extraordinary amount to get to. I mean, they're in this trying to get the bargain deal as they've operated throughout this offseason. A lot of the deals they have come up with it. So it would be another veteran signing that try to get something, like rekindle something that he has shown previously, get him at a lower rate than you would have had to get him in previous seasons, and see if you can bring some of it back. So I think that's sort of where they're at with Odell.
Anything else stand out from the conversation yesterday, McDaniel?
Yeah, I mean, well, there was so much from it. So yeah, he touched on some of the signings. Really, we didn't get to too many of them because 30 minutes with McDaniel runs out quick with how long-winded he can be.
The hums and the pregnant pauses and all that. Yeah, that's kind of.
And then also you got all these other guys from other markets trying to ask, like, someone's asking a Jerome Baker question, someone from Seattle's coming in, and all that. But yeah, I mean, he had good things to say about Jordan Poyer. I'll be writing about that looking back into it. The Tua stuff was very important. The Odell Beckham stuff was the most newsworthy, and then Christian Wilkins and Rob Hunt, sort of their departures. He talked about just the relationships that were built and how those don't have to be fractured just because there is a business side of it. And yeah, I mean, it seems like guys leave the Dolphins on good terms, which gives you an overall sense of that this is a quality organization, that even when guys are leaving and on their way out, it never has to be burning bridges and being sort of taking your shots toward the end. Guys leave on good terms, and that's a sign of a class organization, the way they're running right now.
Yeah. As for the Tua deal, I just kind of get the feeling that it's going to happen, more in the summer, that's where it finally kind of gets done. And instead of, everybody's so worried about a timeline, I don't think it's a timeline thing. I think it's more of a structure thing. When you're doing this, both parties are all in. So I think it's more about working out all the details and all that kind of stuff. And so I kind of almost get the feeling that this thing's just going to drag on because that's the way it is with quarterback contracts. And I don't think this gets done before the draft. I think this gets done maybe as the X money becomes available right around then. What do you think?
Yeah. And not necessarily that the two are correlated in any way, but just as far as timeline potential on the calendar, sure. Yeah, I see it as a summer just because there are so many little intricate details. I don't think it has anything to do with whether one side really wants to, whether they're committing and all that. I think both sides are committed to it. The Dolphins want to do it. Tua wants to be here. It's the right system for him. It's a good marriage to maximize both sides of it. So, yeah, I think so. Oh, also, I mean, you wanted interesting things we got from McDaniel. So we have a name on Tua's second child, Mazey, Mazey. He said, because his quote was, I had to pull it up, in talking about that he'll be at OTAs. The one thing that he likes to do in his life, besides be a kick-ass dad to Ace and Mazey, is play football with his teammates. So, yeah, which we know. He's not going to be skipping out OTAs. And Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb updates. We got those out of McDaniel as well. Yeah. And how McDaniel wants to take sort of the similar approach as with Jalen Ramsey. Don't give him a timeline. It's about you getting better, you getting healthy. So we're not aiming, hey, we want you back for week one, even though, of course, everyone's hopeful of that and going to be hopeful. But it's we want you right so that you could play the full slate of games, not one game.
All right. So does it look, since they are looking for another receiver, it didn't just end with Berrios. Do you think they still will go for another receiver if the Odell thing falls through? Or do they say, all right, no, that was the one shot we were going to take to bring in an extra receiver. If not, we're going to stay with what we got and get into the draft, and then we'll figure things out after that. How do you think that break? What's your best guess for that?
Well, there should be another receiver, and it could be the draft. So it's not like it has to be through free agency, and it could be you let the first wave of free agency before the draft play out, and then maybe if you strike out on the Odell deal, then see what if a BPA sort of equation works best for a wide receiver, and you end up with a wide receiver in the draft, then you can take care of it that way. Or then, if guys are sticking around later into the summer, then you can wait till that X money comes in, $18.5 million post June 1, and then maybe you address that later on. But certainly I believe they are looking for a true wide receiver 3, with then giving Berrios his shot to do his thing, but not necessarily as the surefire wide receiver 3. River Craycraft brought back, so give him opportunities to play his way into playing time. Eric Ezukanma next year, if you can get something out of him. But I feel like the Dolphins do want a guy who will be the solidified wide receiver 3, similar to how it ended up being Cedric Wilson really last year, and then now he's gone. So trying to upgrade at that spot.
Yeah, although I think the third receiver here becomes really the fourth option, because Jonnu Smith, I think, becomes the third option. Yeah. Actually, I think Jonnu Smith's going to get a lot of. So whether you're Odell or Berrios, I think you should be sharing with the running backs, the receiving. That should be your fourth option. It should be obviously Tyreek and the running game, and Waddle in the running game, and Jonnu in the running game, and then you get to that fourth option, which is the third receiver and the running backs. That's kind of the way I think the offense should break down anyway. So really, your third receiver is not really going to be the third option all the time.
Oh, yeah. Far from third option, because it's the run game that really the Dolphins have to commit to, not like we saw 2 years ago, and then also short yardage situations, situationally using it correctly. And then, you added a tight end that's going to be active in the passing game. And obviously, Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle are going to get their lion's share. So, whoever's brought in, they have to understand where they will stand in this offense.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, what do you got going on in the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out, my man?
Yeah, just this morning, talking to a lot of NFC coaches. This morning was the NFC coach availability. So talked to just about everyone that has some connection to a Dolphins free agency move. So got a great quote, Todd Bowles talking about Shaq Barrett, that he's going to be a steal for the Dolphins. Great Dan Campbell line on Benito Jones saying, we got him from Miami. He goes back to Miami. Glad we could develop him for you guys. And now he's a starter. He goes to you guys. And then also Dave Canales, new Panthers coach, he was talking about why they valued Rob Hunt the way they did. Got that in a story on the Sun Sentinel. Talked to Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota, talking about Andrew Van Ginkel, his flow connection, and all that. So pretty comprehensive coverage from NFC availability with the Dolphins storylines intertwined.
What'd you read into X not having any issues or talking well about flow? What'd you read into that?
Oh, yeah. Well, X is a real dude. So, and Flo, he's a tough coach. So, he broke it down the way how real it is that, okay, he's going to be hard on you. And then when you do something right, he's still not going to be patting you on the back all the time. It's no, you were supposed to do that. So I think that X, he speaks honestly, candidly, and he gave you the real of what he had experienced with Flo. And obviously I think a lot of guys do respect him, especially on the defensive side, just because of that style, that demeanor that he presents.
So you don't think it was that he needed a job, and so he's got to make sure he's –
No.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm X, I'm not speaking bad about any coach on any team that could be a potential suitor, especially one that I have previous experience with. And he wanted Andrew Van Ginkel too. So right along those same lines, I would imagine Flo could value X. So yes.
Well, I don't know if you would value X. I'm just saying X is smart by not trashing Flo, even if he wanted to, because he needs a job. So, I'm just saying it just, kind of convenient too, also at the same time. All right. Follow him on Twitter at David Furones _. Catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel. David, as always, thank you, my brother. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You got it. Welt Rheaume, call my guys, Jeff and Dan. They are absolutely awesome. And I'm pretty much getting ready. Maybe in another month or two, I'll be going on a stunt plane with Daniel Rheaume. That'll be fun. Jeff Welt is awesome. Big music guy. And by the way, loves the Canes, loves the Dolphins, loves the hometown teams. Bankruptcy, homeowner property damage, condo damage, criminal defense, business owner claims, commercial litigation, personal injury. Call my friends at Welt and Rheaume, 954-966-4646.